Hi, everybody, and welcome to our Made for YouTube series where we dissect all that's happening in mutual funds and provide explainers on terms and concepts which are new and sometimes difficult to understand. So, today we're going to talk about index funds, and when passive investing has really seen a rise in India. Of course, index funds are a smaller portion of that pie, but one that we need to understand nevertheless. So let me invite Prableen Bajpai, founder of FinFix Research, who's going to help us with this explainer today. Hi, Prableen. Thanks very much for joining in. Always a pleasure to have you. So today we're talking about index funds. So tell us, how much a part of a person's passive investing strategy should be formed by index funds. How many kinds are there, and what are they?
Thanks, Samira, for having me over. So, index funds are basically passive funds which mimic a broader underlying index. That index can be Nifty 50, Next 50, Sensex, which are the popular indices in India. And the fund manager has no role to play in such a scheme because these are broadly just going to mirror whichever underlying index they are tracking. So it's a very simple strategy. It's easy to follow. It's easy for investors to understand. And in India, currently, the large cap space has seen the maximum number of index funds. So out of the 79, 80 large cap funds which we have, almost 50% are now index funds, which are either tracking Nifty 50, Nifty Next 50, or Sensex. And of course, Nifty 50 is the most popular one. Other than these, Sumera, if we move down the cap cycle and if we go to mid caps and small caps, then it's a very, very small percentage because out of, let's say, 27, 28 funds in the category, 24, 25 are still actively managed, and only 3 to 4 funds within both these categories are index funds. And they are quite new. The oldest one was launched in 2019, and the remaining were either launched in 2020 or 21. So within the mid caps and the small caps, there's limited choice for investors. Within large caps, definitely there is. But I'll also add another thing here that currently the popular indices which are tracked by these funds are momentum-based strategies, wherein the market capitalization-based selection and deletion is done in the index, and there is very little innovation currently out of these momentum based indices. So just about 5 to 6 different strategies are available. For example, Nifty equal 50, or the Nifty low volatility index, but just about a total of about 4 to 5 schemes, Sumera, are currently available for investors in that space.
Okay, probably now I want to just scratch this point a little further because this whole concept of variations, right? You mentioned the equal weighted index fund, right?
Right.
What are these variations? Because what we understand by weightage is that in an index, every stock has a certain weightage, right? So currently, if we look at Nifty 50, we may find HDFC Twins, Reliance, etc., Infosys, and all, which will have a much higher weightage compared to some of the smaller stocks, right? In an equal weightage index, do you mean that everybody will have the same weightage?
Right, Sumaya. So what happens is typically that the most common criteria for inclusion or deletion, Sumera, is market capitalization. And ultimately, what is market capitalization is this: the number of stocks which are available multiplied by the price. So as the price starts going up, the market cap of a company increases and they're included in the index. And for reasons such as short-term performance, they can even be deleted. But a Nifty 50 equal weighted will give equal weightage to all the constituents of the index. So whether it is a Reliance or it is HDFC, each one of them will have that 2% weightage because it's 50 stocks, so about 2% to each of them. And it helps in a certain way, Sumera, because the market cap weighted strategy leads to a lot of portfolio concentration. So whenever there is polarization in the markets, it's 4, 5 stocks which are pulling up the index. We see that the weightage goes up tremendously. In such scenarios, the Nifty 50, the regular index, will outperform a equal weighted index. But as soon as we see the depolarization, where all these stocks are doing relatively well. Then we see the Nifty 50 equal weight kind of indices perform better, and they also actually give you the benefit of more fair diversification within the index, because it's a 2% allocation to each of the holdings, rather than just about top 5 6 stocks. For example, Nifty 50 top 10 stocks is currently about 58%.
Got it, got it. I think your doggy is wanting to get a word in also. But okay. So tell us about index funds, the advantages and the disadvantages.
Okay. So advantages are many, and I think it's like a trend which is unstoppable, because any mature market will see the rise of passives because they are easy to track, follow. Selection process Sumera becomes way easier. There is no human intervention. There is no fund manager risk, and there is no pressure of, let's say, outperformance. That's in a way the beauty of it. It just takes off the pressure, because a fund is going to mimic the index. So there is no question of underperformance or outperformance. And of course, I think the biggest advantage is the costs. Index funds are way cheaper as compared to active strategies.
Okay.
And
But
when it
yeah,
I'll
the
just list
negatives
out
of
some
it.
disadvantages. Yeah, negatives or Sumira, I think kind of I'll put it in a way that these are things which investors should know so that they can make a more informed decision. I think the most important is that they should be wary about the fact that there is a tremendous amount of security concentration. So whenever they're selecting an index fund, that's something they should look at. That ultimately, if they're already holding other funds in the portfolio, it should not result in too much concentration within a couple of stocks. Second is that as I've already said, that most of the indices available are still momentum based. So the markets cycle the way certain companies do well, they are included. And what happens is that in such times, one tends to overlook factors such as governance, or factors such as temporarily, that the fund is very good in terms of financials, but the stock hasn't done well in recent times. So certain factors are overlooked. Thirdly, that there is limited downside protection, because then index fund cannot actually take cash calls. They won't be holding too much cash. Otherwise, they would result in tracking errors. So because of that, the downside can be more as compared to an active strategy. And of course, they have to be careful about the tracking errors.
Yeah, so speaking of this tracking error, we've seen a lot of these index additions and deletions that happen on a regular basis. How much do they affect the performance of an index fund?
Uh, I'll give you some examples, Mira, which is S&P 500. It is called the index turnover cost, basically the cost which is because of the additions and deletions. So for an index such as S&P 500, it is about 21 to 28 basis points. But for a larger index like the Russell 2000, it is even up to 77 basis points. So what happens is that the additions and deletions, the impact is actually dependent on the strategy followed by the underlying index. So it's and if the composition of a stock which is deleted is, let's say, currently just about 0.5%, the impact could be very little. But there are times we've seen in the past when a stock like Satyam fell 80% in a day, and it was part of Sensex and Nifty. Or we've seen during the dot-com bubble when stocks like the WorldCom, which was the fifth largest stock in Nasdaq, crashed, and it even filed for bankruptcy within the next 2 years. So the impact of additions and deletions is dependent on what percentage is allocated to those particular stocks. And equal weighted strategies or more innovative products within these the index fund space definitely can reduce, benefit investors more.
Okay. Prableen, I know in India it's at a very nascent stage, right? But how is the comparison with the developed markets, and what is the scope for innovation here?
So developed markets like the US, Sumera, have doubled up their percentage allocation to passives since 2010 to 2020. The allocation has gone up from 20 to 40%. So passives are now, 45% of the US market, and they would be about 55% by 2025. In India, within the mutual fund space, it is just about, I think, one tenth in terms of the AUM. So what happens, I feel, with innovation, because passive strategies will come, I think we'll see two changes which are yet to happen in India. Number one is that we'll see more innovative indices, Sumera, wherein the index is only providing you a lot of variety and, a different strategy. Currently, the active fund managers come up with different strategies, and they are deploying these different ways to, outperform the index. Eventually, more indices which are, made in a way which can kind of give you superior returns or adding more variety to this whole segment. That will happen. And secondly, that ETFs will also be more innovative. I'll add one example here. There is something called the leveraged ETFs in the US. So suppose S&P 500 moves up by 1%, these ETFs actually aim to double or triple that movement. And such strategies will eventually come in India also. But whenever we see this innovation, the cost will be compromised, because leveraged ETFs in the US have a expense ratio of 0.6 to 2%. So it's not possible to have innovation or have these products eventually come, but still have that 0.1%, 0.01%, very minimal kind of expense ratio, basically. So that will definitely go up, but long way
No,
to
no,
go.
fair enough. Yeah, yeah. No, no, innovation will require a cost. I understand that. But we're already seeing some innovation in terms of ETFs in India. Now, if somebody had to look at creating a passive portfolio, why should they choose an index fund over an ETF? I mean, how would you select an index fund? And does it really score over the other passive options available?
In India, Sumera, I mean, the penetration of mutual fund industry or is as it is limited, but we still have both extremes. We have a large base of investors who have never even touched products like mutual funds. And then we also have investors who are savvy, who are sophisticated, who understand and who want more innovative products and a lot of reduction in the cost. So for them, these kind of new strategies which have come in India and via ETFs, I think is definitely great for them. But a demat is required, and those kind of investors definitely can, manage all that. But for a person who's just starting off, having a demat, having limited, knowledge of the overall mutual funds, I feel tracking an index is a simpler option. There is no confusion to the day trading price which is there, because ETFs you can sell, buy and sell during the day. There are no such confusions in an index fund. You know that this is the broader stock market index which I am tracking. And so definitely for newer investors who are looking long term and are not looking at trading ETFs, I think index funds are also a decent option. And for somebody who's looking to create an index, create a portfolio, I think they definitely need to understand which index and what is the composition when they're picking a fund. So duplication, let's say a Nifty 50 and a Nifty 500, if they're picking these two, index funds, they will have huge amount of duplication in terms of the top 10 stocks. So I think that's really important, for them to see.
Okay. Speaking of creating a portfolio, how much allocation should be given to passives? A lot of people would already have an active, portfolio with active allocation when they get into looking at, giving some corpus to passive. So, what should be this allocation, and how does that whole portfolio tie up together?
Within the large cap space, Mira, I can say almost 100% can go into passives within your large cap portfolio, because scope for outperformance within the large caps is definitely lesser in India. But again, strategy within large caps is dependent on an investor's portfolio. They definitely have to see, how much is the overlap with their existing portfolios. I personally feel that an equal weighted strategy is good, because any fund in India which is actively managed will have a decent allocation to the top stocks, anyways. And in terms of your mid caps and small caps, tracking error is important, and investors must see the past, how well has the fund manager, tracked the index. And there is not enough data, Sumira, because out of the three funds in each category, I mean, four of them were launched very, very recently. So I think within that space, actively managed fund can be picked, and there is still scope for outperformance within the mid caps as well as the small caps.
Okay, and just one final question then. You had said that perhaps index fund NFOs are not such a good idea, right? Why is that? And any other tips that you want to leave our viewers with?
What happens is, Sumera, so I like to also just add another thing. So when we're talking about passives, I think there's a bit of a myth that they are really safe. So what happens is, when an person is investing in an index fund, you definitely totally avoid any fund manager risk. But there are two types of risks in the market: systematic and unsystematic. So the systematic risk will always be there. If the markets go down, your fund will go down. If the markets go up, your fund will go up, because you are simply buying the market yourself. So the first thing is that index funds are not safer. They definitely reduce your fund manager risk, who can result either in outperformance or underperformance of a scheme. Secondly, Sumera, uh,
On the NFO.
sorry, on the N, sorry, I missed that. On the NFO, whenever a new fund is coming, there's a lot of talking which is done around a specific theme, and again, majority investors would feel that they are losing out on losing out on an opportunity which is really great. So for an investor, let's say, who's already having two large cap portfolios, going and picking another Nifty 50 really doesn't make sense, unless and until that person is looking to gravitate towards the index or passive strategy going forward. So secondly, that enough data is not available, and tracking error is definitely a crucial factor while picking an index fund. So how do you compare the different index funds? And index funds are not directly, should never be chosen just by the expense ratio, because a
Yeah.
fund with a low expense ratio can also have a high tracking error. So tracking error must be seen, and that is not available for any new fund which is being launched.
Fair enough. Prableen, thank you very much for this explainer, and stay safe. And once again, thanks very, very much for joining in. So there you have
Thank
it.
you.
Pretty much everything that you wanted to know about index funds. If you still feel you have further questions or comments, we'll be very, very happy to read them and also answer them. So please drop in all of them in the comment section below. Also, if you have ideas for future episodes that you'd like us to do, send in those ideas as well. I look forward to reading all of them. Stay safe, and thanks very much for watching.